What if one political deal could lower oil prices, calm global markets, prevent a wider war, and completely reshape the balance of power in the Middle East? That is exactly what people around the world are asking after Donald Trump announced a major agreement involving the United States and Iran. According to reports, the understanding is designed to reduce tensions, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and move both sides toward a broader diplomatic process. But while headlines are focused on Iran and the Middle East, many analysts are asking a different question. What does Donald Trump gain from all of this? Is this really about peace? Is it about oil? Is it about the American economy? Or is it about politics? In today's video, we're going to break down the biggest potential benefits Trump could receive if this agreement succeeds, and why this deal could become one of the most important geopolitical stories of a year. Stay with us until the end, because the final advantage may be the most important one of all. Part 1. Why the Strait of Hormuz matters so much. Before we talk about Trump, we need to understand why the Strait of Hormuz is so important. Most people have heard the name before, but very few realize how critical it is to the global economy. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most important shipping routes. A massive portion of global oil exports travels through this narrow waterway every single day. When tensions rise in the region, investors become nervous. Oil prices often increase. Shipping costs rise. Global markets become unstable. And ordinary consumers eventually feel the impact. Higher fuel prices can affect transportation, airline tickets, manufacturing costs, food prices, and inflation. That means a conflict in the Middle East doesn't stay in the Middle East. It can impact economies all over the world. This is why governments, businesses, and financial markets closely watch every development involving the Strait of Hormuz. If shipping returns to normal and tensions decrease, the economic effects could be enormous. And that's where Trump's first potential advantage appears. Part 2. Lower oil prices could be a huge win. One of the biggest benefits for Trump could be lower oil prices. Whenever markets believe energy supplies are becoming more secure, oil prices often move lower. And lower oil prices create a chain reaction throughout the economy. Gasoline becomes cheaper. Transportation costs fall. Businesses spend less on fuel. Manufacturing becomes more affordable. Consumers keep more money in their pockets. For the average American family, cheaper fuel is something they notice immediately. People may not follow every foreign policy story. They may not read every international headline, but they absolutely notice when it costs less to fill up their vehicles. That is why energy prices have always carried political significance. If oil prices remain stable or move lower following this agreement, Trump could point to that outcome as evidence that his approach produced results. Whether people agree or disagree politically, lower fuel costs are generally welcomed by consumers, and that makes this one of the most visible potential benefits of the deal. Part 3. A major foreign policy achievement. Every president wants a major foreign policy success. Some are remembered for wars. Others are remembered for peace agreements. Some are remembered for economic achievements. Others are remembered for diplomacy. For decades, relations between Washington and Tehran have been among the most difficult in international politics. Negotiations have often failed. Tensions have repeatedly returned. Trust has remained extremely limited. Because of that history, any successful agreement automatically becomes significant. If this deal survives and produces lasting results, Trump could claim that his administration achieved progress where previous efforts struggled. Supporters would likely describe it as proof that strong negotiations can produce outcomes that military pressure alone cannot achieve. Critics may disagree on many aspects of the agreement, but even critics would have to acknowledge the significance of reducing the risk of a wider regional conflict. That alone would make this one of the biggest foreign policy stories of Trump's presidency. Part 4. The stock market factor. Another potential benefit involves financial markets. Markets hate uncertainty. Investors dislike unpredictability. Businesses prefer stability. When conflict threatens global trade routes, markets often react negatively. When tensions decrease, confidence frequently improves. Investors become more willing to take risks. Companies feel more comfortable making long-term decisions. Business leaders gain confidence in future planning. All of this can support market growth. For Trump, a positive market reaction creates another opportunity. He has consistently highlighted economic indicators as evidence of successful leadership. A stable market environment helps reinforce that message. If investors continue responding positively to reduced tensions, Trump could use that as another example of why the agreement matters. Part 5. Avoiding a costly war. War is expensive, very expensive. Military operations require enormous resources. Governments spend billions of dollars. Economic uncertainty increases, regional instability spreads, and political risks grow. History shows that long conflicts often become unpopular over time. Many voters prefer diplomatic solutions whenever possible. By supporting a framework that reduces the chances of a larger confrontation, Trump may avoid many of the costs associated with military escalation. This could mean fewer economic disruptions, reduced pressure on allies, less risk for American forces, and more attention available for domestic priorities. From a political perspective, preventing a conflict can sometimes be as valuable as winning one. People often remember leaders who avoided wars just as much as leaders who fought them. Part 6. The economic advantage. Let's look beyond fuel prices. The economic implications could be much larger. When global shipping routes operate normally, businesses gain confidence. Manufacturers can plan production more effectively. Transportation companies face fewer disruptions. Investors become less concerned about supply shocks. All of this contributes to economic stability. Economic stability usually supports consumer confidence, and consumer confidence often influences economic growth. Trump has frequently emphasized economic performance throughout his political career. Because of that, any development that improves economic conditions naturally strengthens one of his strongest political messages. The message becomes simple. Trade is moving, markets are calmer, energy is flowing, and economic uncertainty is decreasing. That is a powerful narrative for any political leader. Part 7. International image and global leadership. Another potential advantage involves international perception. Successful agreements can increase diplomatic influence. They can improve a country's image abroad, and they can strengthen a leader's reputation as a negotiator. Trump has often described himself as a deal maker. Throughout his business and political career, he has emphasized negotiation as one of his greatest strengths. Because of that, a successful agreement with Iran fits directly into a narrative he has promoted for years. Supporters may view the deal as proof that negotiation can succeed where confrontation failed. International observers may see it as evidence that diplomacy remains possible even after periods of intense tension. The stronger the agreement appears, the stronger this perception becomes. Part 8. The election advantage. Now we come to what may be the biggest benefit of all: politics. If this agreement succeeds, Trump could present himself as a leader who achieved multiple goals at the same time: reduce tensions, lower energy costs, improve market confidence, protection of global trade routes, and avoidance of a larger war. That combination creates a powerful political message. Supporters could argue that diplomacy delivered results without requiring a major military conflict. Campaign strategists understand how valuable such achievements can become. If voters associate economic stability and lower fuel costs with this agreement, it could strengthen Trump's political position significantly. Whether that actually happens remains to be seen, but the political potential is obvious, and that may explain why so much attention is focused on this deal. Part 9. Why the deal could still face challenges. However, not everything is guaranteed. Every major international agreement faces obstacles. Implementation can be difficult. Negotiations can stall. Disagreements can reappear. Regional tensions can return unexpectedly. History is filled with agreements that looked promising in the beginning, but later encountered serious problems. That is why analysts remain cautious. The success of this agreement will ultimately depend on what happens next. Will both sides follow through? Will tensions continue decreasing? Will economic benefits actually appear? Will the region remain stable? These questions remain unanswered, and they will determine whether this becomes a historic breakthrough or simply a temporary pause in a much larger conflict. Conclusion: at the end of the day, Donald Trump stands to gain several major advantages if this agreement succeeds. First, lower oil prices. Second, greater market confidence. Third, a significant foreign policy achievement. Fourth, avoiding the costs and risks of a larger war. Fifth, stronger economic stability. And finally, potentially significant political benefits. But the future of this agreement is still uncertain. The coming weeks and months will reveal whether this becomes a historic diplomatic success or another complicated chapter in the long relationship between the United States and Iran. One thing is certain: the entire world will be watching, because what happens next could affect global energy markets, international politics, and the future of the Middle East for years to come. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe this agreement is a genuine step toward lasting peace? Or do you think it is primarily a strategic political victory for Donald Trump? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more global news and geopolitical analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.